Hello and welcome to SRC Senior Racing Club Midweek Championship. This week taking part in, I'm not going to say too sunny England because it's not too sunny at the moment, depending on where you are, but at the wonderful Silverstone. Very fast track, nice and flowing, suits the GT3 cars really, really well. Reckon we're going to be into double figures on the grid. We've got a couple of people who are unfortunately unavailable this evening, so that means they cannot race. It is what it is, and at the end of the day, people who race will get the ability to maximise their points. We'll look at the table shortly, but first of all, let's have a look at where we're up to in the schedule. So it's a 6-week schedule, and we've currently run Barcelona, Circuit of the Americas, Hungary last week, and this week, as mentioned, we are at Silverstone. Next week we're at Suzuka with the final trip to Paul Ricard, and with a fantastic long straight in France. Let's look at the table. So the table at the moment is being dominated by Brian. Brian didn't race last week, but he seems to be such a quick guy, and he has been in the 47s on this track. So I don't think anyone's going to be able to touch tonight, if I'm being honest. But we'll say Nathan Edwards is on the track for the first time, so he may have something to say about that. And there is a couple of quick guys as well, but I think it may well be between Brian and Nathan this one. But rest of the table, Peter is having a storm in Championship. He has won one race, Peter de Jong, and consequently, if Brian doesn't finish, highly unlikely, Peter could actually claim P1 here. But he's looking good. He's been closely followed there by Mark Christopher, who has moved up in the table. Mark Christopher is not here this week. He's been told the music's loud, so I'm just going to turn the music down. Just give us a thumbs up, Mark, if that's okay. And so as a result of Mark Christopher not being available, it does mean that Peter could stretch his legs a little bit, but it also gives the likes of Daniel, Kim, Paul and that to catch up, although I haven't seen Paul on the server today, so possibly Paul's not racing. And there's a few others who don't seem to have turned up just yet, so we'll see how that goes. And then towards the end of the top 10, we've got Uwe and Melvin. As you can see, both of them have actually gone up, and the only person dropping down was Michael, who didn't race last week, but he is on track today, so that's going to be a complete turnaround today, I reckon, at the end. So they're currently just in practice, just get themselves familiar, and obviously what we'll do is we'll really join the competition when they start talking about the race and qualifying. There's not much really to gain from the experience on track. I'm just going to try and get the voice levels set up correctly so people can hear. Hi to Mark, Kyle, Brian and Stefan in the chat, and anybody else who decides to join. I have got a few more overlays today. You'll see I've got the usual ones I used last week. I've also got a driver your overlay now today as well, which I've constructed myself, which shows you the current lap information. It also shows you the current speed in both KMH and MPH, as well as other characteristics. So I'm slowly starting to add my own functionality into this software and remove the reliance on other stuff. It does seem to work well. I've also now got my software tracking consistency, so it gives me an idea of how drivers are doing overall in the race, as opposed to just the odd lap here and there. Stefan's going back to the Nissan. He's got some setups for the 1.9, so it looks like he's going. I can't remember what you were in, Stefan. No, I can't remember. It wasn't the Audi, was it? But you're going back to the Nissan. So as Go setups are now available, it means it'll give him something to run with. I think everyone's now starting to play catch up with the setups, but I think we will get there with them all. There's 40 odd seconds left to go in relation to practice, and then we get down to the nitty gritty. Hopefully I won't have the same technical issues I had last week. I've done a lot of work on my software, ironed out a lot of issues with it, sped it up a lot, streamlined the code, and also added some other functionality into it now. I am controlling it manually today, but believe it or not, it can now run completely. I'm going to use the word autonomous because it can now manage itself, and there's also narration in there, so what it can do is talk you through the race if there's no voices. I've not got that switched on because you've got my dulcet tones, obviously. But yeah, it's getting there, and to people I know, I can let them have a version of it that is time limited for obvious reasons. It is a clever piece of software, and as you can see, practice is over. So any second now, we did get Brian into the 158s in practice, and Marco got a 159. they're the times you want to be looking at, really. Yeah, Brian there with a 158.3, which is a pretty good lap. As I said, I think he can get in the 157s. And Marco with a 159.1 in the Ferrari, which is a very good lap time as well. So I think from that perspective, let's just finish off with Michael here. Michael looks like he's in the Ferrari as well. He's called his lap quits. Audi's better car overall, but I need to wear my GTR t-shirt. That's Stefan. Okay. Right. So yeah, I think we're just waiting for a couple of cars that are currently on track. Got Craig, who's coming to a halt now in the Audi, and then Mike Duran. I'm not seen on the server, and he's obviously finished the line. So let's go into quali. Right. Turn it on. It might be better. I'll remember that, Mr. Condron. Yeah, thanks for that, mate. You know, love you too. Do you want me to switch it on and have a giggle? No, I'm not. It's female as well, so it'll probably throw a few people. Right, so Melvin is coming out the pits as we speak. He's just getting himself going, as is Brian. Looks like Brian is first, so what we'll do is we'll just sit with Brian on this first lap out, because we know he's going to ultimately get the fastest lap, I think, within a couple of laps. Yeah, I reckon low 58s, very high 57s for quali, if you want to claim pole position. And then there'll be a gaggle of drivers in the 59s and a couple in the 2 minutes plus. There's 14 drivers registered on the server, so that's going to give us quite a good battle. Hopefully we'll avoid any carnage in T1, although it tends to be turn 2 and turn 3 where the trouble kicks off at Silverstone because of the bends. T1's quite a wide corner, unless your name's Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. Hopefully the picture's nice and clear. Okay. So where is he? He's coming to the end of his lap. And this is where we're going to see Brian now go for it. So his first lap is now started. That's an invalid lap already. Let's pick on someone else. Let's go on board with Peter. Nice, Stefan. Sounds nice, that, playing with 3D printers. So the only person who's done a valid lap at the moment is Mike Duran. I don't know why my fastest lap banner's not coming up. No doubt introduced another featurette. Doesn't really matter. As I say, Peter's second in the championship at the moment. Really got this BMW working well for him. He had a great race at Hungary last week. Silverstone's a challenge, Stefan, because it's a quick track. You don't really get room to breathe apart from the little chicane. Really, you're on full throttle for a good portion of the track, I believe. Only dipping the brake for certain areas. Even this corner you can take quite quick and get the power on quite early. It's this little next sector that coming up where you really slow the car down. But other than that, the rest of it's pretty quick. Don't really want to take any curb there. And Peter's done a really good lap. Still within track limits there, looking good. That's probably out of track limits actually, so this lap's probably not going to be valid either. So we've still only got one person who's done a valid lap 11 minutes in to qualifying. We'll stick with Peter just in case. I do think that was very wide though, and I think we will see that as an invalid lap. Brian has done a 158, but that was also an invalid lap as well. And there we can see the first valid lap is Marco with a 159.525. Peter's just come into the final sector. Final few corners at the end of this lap. And we'll see whether this is a good lap. And Michael's gone quicker with a 1:59.1. And Mark Cooper's got in there with a 1:59.8. So did Peter get a valid lap or was it an invalid lap? Peter's was in fact a valid lap, a 2:01.472. Well done, Peter. So let's go back on board with Brian. So Brian's lap was invalid, a 1:58.537. Let's see if he can pull one out of the hat. Obviously he's coming through the first bend here. In fact, there's only four drivers without a valid lap, and Nathan's still in the pits. He has done a lap, but he's obviously doing some car tweaking at the moment as we speak. I mean, if Brian doesn't get pole, I do think he'll just side his way through the field anyway. We shall see. There is a mandatory tyre stop in this race. Fuel is optional. So within the 55 minutes, the drivers will be expected to stop at some point. So they've got a choice: do they splash and dash early, splash and dash late, or do a 50-50, change the tyres and the fuel. Tyres will give them a 30-second burden, whereas the fuel won't. And Brian there with a 1:58.1. So Brian has now managed to claim pole position quite convincingly by over a good, nearly a good second. Marco has done a 1:58, so Marco's looking really good for second place at the moment. I'm going to go to Nathan. Nathan's got the McLaren going, so we'll see how Nathan does. He's usually quite quick in that McLaren. As you can see, there is invalid lap. This relevant sector time is 1:59.209. That's the fastest lap he's achieved. So he's in the ballpark. It just was an invalid lap. So you can put it together. That's going to put him in the top 4. But we shall see. Craig Holmes has just done a 1:59.5. Everyone's flexing the muscles now, starting to bang in the fast laps. There's quite a bit of movement going on. Nilsson's just done a 1:59.315. That's Daniel Nilsson, a 1:59.315. And Nathan is the only driver not to do a valid lap at the moment. He's currently in P14. I can't tell you what his current lap is. Don't have that information available. Just kept it in track limits there. This will give us an idea of his performance unless it's an outlap. And it was indeed an outlap. So now he's going to go for a hot lap. Very close to track limits there. He might have just gone over there. His tyre was beyond the white strip, so he might have just got into track limits. We shall see. He's got 7 minutes still to pull out of the bag, so there's still a good 3 or 4 laps left in for him to have a go at if he's got the fuel. So still got a 1:58.1, and Brian is now currently sat in pole, having a cup of tea, because I don't think anyone's going to get anywhere near that. Saying that, Barco's actually done a 1:58.5. That's a great time. And Michael a 1:58.7. Both of them from the Sim Racing Nord team. I think Jürgen as well. Jürgen Weiss, who's currently in 8th. He's also from Sim Nord Racing. So quite a few of them guys coming to race with us, which is great. Always welcome. And Craig Holmes has just gone a little bit faster than Daniel Nilsson. Yeah, Mark, if you ever sit behind Nathan when he's racing it, it looks like it's got his not even running slicks. It looks like he's running rims. It's loose as hell at the back. I presume it's the balance with the engine and the way the car runs, but it is the new McLaren as well, so it's probably going to take a few drivers a good while to get used to on all the different tracks as well. Glad we're not using it in the endurance race. I think I'd have sacked it off by now. At least you can get the Ferrari stable. This lap is looking good though. I think this is going to put him up into the top 5 at the moment. And we've got 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes to go. Mike Duran's just done a 1:59.4. See how this fares. Yeah. Nathan did actually manage a 1:58.4, so he's managed to really get himself into second place there. Who can we go on board with? Let's go on board with Eric Dont, who's actually in the BMW this week. His best is 2:01. I think Eric will be looking at a 2 minute something, so I would expect Eric to move up. Although saying that, the gap between 12th and 10th is up to 1:59, so he's really going to have to take a good chunk of time out of his best lap here just to get in into the 11th and then into the top 10. So it's starting to look a bit of a stretch, actually, getting into that top 10 as we speak. Some great consistency being shown by the drivers, though, in the qualifying session. Oh, Eric sideways there, really pushing the back end of that BMW out. That will be an invalid lap. Some very good consistency indeed. Craig Holmes is coming out. Let's get on with Craig. He's just coming out the pits and going again. There you go, he's out. He's really got to grips with this Audi. Saying that, been racing. He's been one of the guys who's been racing Automobilista too, and he's fast regardless of what he goes in. Some cracking fun in the minis, and we're in the Formula F3s now. And again, everyone just seems to be so quick. Currently 5th, Craig, with his best lap being a 1:58.9. That's getting on the... not too sure what else he can take out with that Audi, actually. If he takes anything out, it's not going to be much. I've contemplated opening my window. God, it's gone really warm. Let's open my window. Give me a bit of a draft. Bit of a breeze. Oh, that's better. Not even racing. Ryan Young with a 1:58.0. He's getting quicker. Right, let's see what Craig does. So this is his flying lap now. Got 1 minute to go. So this is probably his last lap along with everyone else. Mike Duran's already in the pits, as is Don, as is Melvin. So them guys can't go any faster. It's going to be quite a good little battle at the back, actually. Kim van der Stickelen, he's done a 1:59.6. Daniel Nilsson, who was looking quick, so 1:59.3. Mark Cooper, a 1:59.2. And then just before that, Mike Duran in a 1:59.2. He's 0.05 of a second quicker than Mark Cooper. Michael Sector's decided to pit. He's called it a day. He's now going to pits waiting for the race. Good corner there, good exit. Got the power on. How's it going to go? Coming to the final sector now. Got this tricky little bit of a bendy sector up, and then this takes him into sector 3, and we'll see him finish what will probably be his qualifying. We did have a yellow flag on track then, but that's obviously just someone calling it a day. Marco's gone second with a 1:58.3. He's taken that away from Nathan. Nathan's in the pits, so he's not going to be able to go any better. Brian's done a 1:57.869. Let's see how Craig does here. Is he going to better himself? And he did. He did a 1:58.967. He went slightly quicker. And it did say only slightly. We've got 2 cars on track. Marco, who's currently second. He's looking for a good start. And the other car on track is Kim van der Stickelen. We are now in what I call a dead time, end of the qualifying. And he's called it a day. So there's only Marco who can actually go any quicker at the moment. And that looks like track limits. Definitely, as you can see there. So I think from that perspective, I'm just going to wait for the server to roll over into the race and get myself set up as for the grid walk. So I'm just waiting for the grid to form. Well done, Mr. Young. Nice quick lap with a 1:57.8. I did tout you for a 1:57, but I will say Marco and Nathan. Marco especially really quick in that session, as was Nathan and Michael. I mean, to be honest, the top 5 are in the 1:58, and a bit of a shout out to Craig there. That's pretty good going. Them lap times are really impressive. Yeah, Mr. Young showing it off. That's it. So just waiting for the grid to form. All the cars are currently sat in the pits. I am speed. I feel the need for speed. No, we're not going to start naming movies. Too many of them. Come on, grid. Get yourself formed. I won't repeat that, Mr. Condron, but it's in the chat. Okay. So the grid has been formed. I'm just going to get myself in position. So I can do me now famous track walk. Not that I'm Martin Brundle or anything. Okay, so let's have a quick look down the grid, and we've got Brian Young on pole in the Ferrari, followed closely by, I thought it was Marco actually. Nathan must have got him towards the end. Nathan Edwards in the McLaren, the very slippy McLaren. We then got Marco in the Ferrari, Simnord Racing Colours Ferrari there. Michael, I don't think I've got his livery, but he's also in a Ferrari. Craig, who's in the Audi, the only Audi on the grid, with Mark Cooper, who's also in a McLaren. We then got Mike Duran, who's in the green Ferrari, and then Daniel Nilsson, who's in the only Lamborghini on track. Good, he's getting a lot of speed out of that car as well. Kim van der Stickelen, who's in the Porsche. Peter de Jong, who's in the BMW. We got Jürgen Weiss in the McLaren. Eric Dont in the BMW. Don Harvey in the BMW, and Melvin Schmidt running down the back in the BMW. So that's all the cars as they are, forming the grid. Just need to get my mouse back. And then what we'll do is we'll go to Brian, we'll go to the helicam, and we'll wait for the race to commence. 20 seconds. They'll be starting getting the cars off the stilts now. getting their engines started, and we'll be ready to go. So we'll try and keep it towards the front of the grid for obvious reasons. There we go. All cars moving. No one looks like they've jumped to the pits. A couple of cars just claiming positions there based on where they are on the grid. Obviously that'll even itself out as the race commences. And hopefully, and there we go, lights have gone green, or lights have gone out, and Nathan's managed to take a good starting point, but Brian's got the inside line. Everyone's got through, a couple of wide visits, but other than that, everyone seems to have made it. Let's see if we can get into T2. Brian's just settling in behind Nathan there. Again, towards the back, doesn't appear to be any problems. McLaren there of Vice and Eric looks like they've got a little bit close, but again, everyone seems to be streaming through. Someone's just got on the dirt a little bit. Other than that, looking really good. And we can see Brian is already putting pressure on Nathan, who's managed to get the better of Brian on the start and just a bit of a jump. You can see, though, Brian's really getting close. And as you can see, it's all pretty much in situ. Peter's making a good move already on Mike Duran by the looks of it. Although it looks like this is a very dangerous corner where they've given up there. Well done. I thought we were going to get two cars trying to go into the curb there, but they've all managed it. So far, so good. And everyone at the back's also got through, so looking good at the moment. Still got Brian, and we've still got Nathan battling it out. And then behind that, we've got the two Sim Nord Racing guys, Marco and Michael. We've still got to get the tyres up to heat. Luckily at Silverstone, it's really only one lap you've got to worry about. So I reckon we'll start seeing the grip coming into play partway through the second lap. Now, a couple of cars did actually make contact with each other. I'm seeing that there was a couple of incidents. Craig Holmes and Mark Cooper come together, although none of them did lose places, so I think it was just a bit of rubbing. And as we know, rubbing's racing. Carry on, have a quick look down the back as we come to the first lap. So far, so good. It looks like we might get all drivers through. Not that I want to do commentator's curse of lap 1. Okay, so laps are starting to come through now, and we can see both the two lead drivers going wide, track limits. Quite easy to get a drive through on this track, and bearing in mind we've also got a mandatory pit stop as well. As you can already see on the little track map, all the cars that are turquoise are already outside track limits. So not many drivers have got around that first corner very well at the moment. And we've still got cars racing well, stretching themselves out. Still relatively clean. Looking good, looking good. We're just on board with Daniel Nilsson here at the moment in the Lamborghini, as he's being pressured by Mr. Duran. See the cars in front are also battling as well. Cooper's very close to Holmes. I'll just jump forward on that one. You can see there, got a train of 3 cars there very close, which is Michael, Craig and Mark, and then another bank of cars behind that. The battle with Mike is also close behind, as we mentioned before. As you can see, Peter's then put in. Peter's started to gain on Mike as well. So again, I'm going to keep an eye on 2 battles, but you can see this one is close. Once the Audi gets his tyres up, I think we'll start seeing some really good close racing coming up. Nathan and Brian are half a second between them. Peter, as you can see there, is putting a lot of pressure on Mike. And fastest lap at the moment is Nathan Edwards with a 2:06. This is the battle at the moment between Michael and Craig. There's a few others on track. Jurgen is putting pressure on Van Stickelen. See there. I'm just trying to work out what's going on because my leaderboard wasn't showing correct. Now it is. It's just waiting for the cars to pass the first lap, that's all. It's all right. Yeah, it's settled itself down again now. Little battles at the back. I'm just going to jump back to Jorgen because Jorgen's putting a lot of pressure on Kim here. Clarigates the Porsche. I will keep an eye on what's going on further forward as well because we've got Peter still putting pressure on Mike, as you can see from that shot there. And a couple of other guys running further down behind will be having their own battle as well. I've just gone wide there, putting the brakes on. That must have been Daniel because he's been caught up now. Daniel Nilsson. A couple of cars. Peter. It looks like Kim. Actually, it might have been Peter actually who's had a mistake because he's lost places there. So Peter's lost one place, and I thought Kim was going to take him as well, but that's not going to happen. But Jürgen is trying to get up the inside of Peter here. Peter's going up the inside of Daniel. So there was contact between... no, there wasn't contact. Sorry. I tell a lie. There was a couple of passes going on. Thanks, Stefan. Take care. Have a good day, mate. Yeah. So we have Peter has actually made it past. And Jürgen is trying to get past Nilsson here as well. So is he going to do a lunge or is he going to get a good toe on one of the fast elements of this track? It is grunty, that Lambo. I do expect Daniel to start clawing in the drivers in front of him, having watched him a couple of times. Does maximise the performance out of that Lamborghini. After Brian and Nathan up front, there's quite a large gap appearing now. So you can see these two guys have really put the hammer down. They're both in the 158s. And the guys behind them are in the 159s. So there's... yeah, and it looks like Michael has managed to just take a bit of pressure off himself with Craig as well. But this is still where the battle is here between these two. Jürgen Weiss and Daniel Nilsson. He's getting very close here, is Jürgen. Going around the outside. That's ambitious. He's making it stick, though. What a move. Brilliant move. Absolute brilliant. He's put himself now wide, though, trying to get the power down early. It's forced the car wide, and Daniel's took him back. So, first part of that move executed brilliantly. Unfortunately, second part, I think he just lost his way a little bit because of the momentum he'd already carried on the outside of that bend. And that's allowed Kim van Stickelen back into it now. As you can see, he's running quite close behind the cars. So where the battle is. Nathan's half a second clear of Brian at the moment. More or less matching each other for lap times as well. Again, all the drivers showing absolutely fantastic consistency. The lap times. Kim there in the Porsche, just got a bit twitchy there. Yeah, he's putting a bit of pressure on Jürgen now. Is he going to get a good run? We know that Porsche's quick. There's been contact between Don and Melvin. Have a quick look at that. Do we catch it? Rubbing is racing. Don goes up the inside. And ever so slight tap. So nothing major there. No one's really suffered too much there. Let's go back to where the battle is. He's off a touch now. Still a three-way battle. Now then, let's have a look what's gone on here. Brian's managed to get Nathan. I think Nathan made a mistake because Brian's carrying a lot of speed through here. Side by side, great racing. He did make contact. Very close. So Brian, there's been something else has gone wrong here because I'm now seeing Nathan further back. Yeah, he's off track. He spun it. And that means he's now down into 7th place. As you can see, Mike's just gone past him. Bit of a nightmare there. Nathan, unfortunately, looks like his back end's just gone on him. He does hold the fastest lap, but that's not much of a... The car's not damaged. See a very slight mark on it, but it looks like he's not hit anything, so he has got away with it. Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do now, fortunately, as a result of that incident. It does also mean that Brian's now just starting to scamper away a little bit. Now Don and Melvin are back at it again. Melvin looks like he's going on the straight. Is he going to make it past? Pulled out. Is he going for it? He's got the angle on the inside. Brilliant. He's managed to cut the inside back. Great pass. Got our first car pitting. Daniel Nilsson is going into the pits, so he's taking his early stop. That's another piece of my software doing that. Quality. Don't need to know where the pits are going on anymore. So yeah, so that was Melvin. Oh, and Melvin's just, let's just see what's gone on there. He's gone around the corner too quick. Oh, he's carrying much too much speed there, but he's held it. That means Don's managed to pass him now. So Melvin's going to have to hunt Don down again. But Daniel was the first one to carry out his pit stop. Still relatively close at the front between Michael and Marco. This is the closest battle at the moment. There's not much else going on in relation to battles, but you can see Michael's got grips with Marco there. Both in a Ferrari though, so probably very evenly matched, probably using very similar setups. Craig's just lurking behind. Pit stop's going to play a key part in this, I think. Yeah, the gap at the front now is 3 seconds, so we're going to see Brian just edge away. But Nathan is now gaining on Mike. Oh, whoa. You can just see how much of the track he's trying to use. He's killing his tyres. Nicely held, but you could see, if we just watch him here, he's taking too much of the track and he's getting his tyres onto the grass and it's just not giving him the grip he wants. So unfortunately, I think he's being his own worst enemy there. He's going to kill his tyres. He's probably going to have to put them, take them off when he pits. But it has left a bit of a free run now for Mike because the gap is quite significant now. 10 seconds clear. Cooper's catching up on Mr. Holmes. That's Mark Cooper and Craig Holmes. Brought the gap down to 7 hundredths. I think it is overdriving, Mark. Yeah, I think he's trying to get himself back up there at the cost of the actual grip of the car. He's a quick driver, Nathan, but he's I think he's quick because the car's so loose. And it only takes a second for it to snap. Looking down to see where the gaps are. Everyone seems to be relatively spaced out now a little bit. Again, the closest gap is probably Michael and Marco and this little bunch of cars here. They're really pushing it, but they're not making a dent on Brian at all. Brian could probably go into the pits, change all his tyres and come back out again when he's ready for his pit stop. Although he doesn't want to be doing that. That's warning material, that going that wide off track. This is the real only battle, these 4 cars here. Mark Cooper is keeping up with Craig. He isn't pressuring him so much. He is trying to close the gap on Michael in front of him, which is currently standing between 9/10 and a second. He's trying. I will say I think the Ferrari is very good on its tyres though. And I think the Ferrari, from a longevity perspective, the tyres will last better than possibly when I've driven the Audi. It does seem to chew its tyres up towards the end of the life. They seem to drop off much quicker than what the Ferraris do. But again, that could be my style of driving. Now we've got Mr. Cooper. Looks like he's going to go for the pass. Is he going to make it? He's got the inside line, but he doesn't really want that. That soon becomes the outside, the corner. He's not going to slingshot it across. It's all about braking here, but get your braking point wrong, you will go into the back of the opposite car. Both manage it really well. And he tries again. Thunderbirds are go. You'll see the speed difference coming out of that corner then. I don't know whether Craig got his car a little bit sideways. Cooper gained a lot of time on him there. Sounds like he's scuffing the tyres a lot in the Audi there. You can hear it. It's almost like it's sliding in all the corners. Pulling away there though. Again, it's a straight. That's where you'd expect the Audi to be strong. Oh, Mark Cooper's just gone too deep into that corner. Cost him too much, but that was quite deep. I think if he'd have took the apex better, he'd have probably had a better run through this little sector then. He's just managing to hold him at bay at the moment, isn't he? That's the view in front of him. You can see the two Sim Racing Nord team drivers, Michael and Marco. Craig, who's a saint or sinner. No one else has plumbed for a pit stop yet. Consistency's just starting to taking a hit now, but the stats are showing me that Eric is currently the most consistent driver, followed by Mike Duran and Craig Holmes, and then obviously the guys in front and around this area are also very consistent as well. And when you consider the gap's not really changing, that makes perfect sense. So Michael's made a bit of a mistake there. He's allowed Craig really to catch up. Yeah, the lowest consistency, as you'd expect, is Nathan going off track. Obviously not getting the laps together has cost him his consistency. I know it's only a statistic, but it just gives me an idea of how the drivers are performing against each other. And when you've got a group of drivers in the same area, if they're all in consistent time, running the same consistency, you know there's very little between them. You've got big gaps in the consistency. You know somebody's suffering somewhere on the lap. And obviously, as the race goes on, you would expect the consistency to drop as well, because you've got more laps to compare against, and not only that, your tyres start to go off, so potentially your consistency takes a hit that way as well. And is there any more battles I can switch to? At this moment in time, there's not. What I'll do is I'll have a quick rundown of all the cars. The front, Brian Young. The Ferrari, leading by 7 seconds. From Marco in the 711 Ferrari Sim Racing Nord livery, I think that one is. And he's 6/10 clear of Michael in the 171 Ferrari. And as you can see there, he's only 4/10 clear of Craig Holmes in the Thunderbirds Audi. And then Mark Cooper is half a second behind them, and he's in the McLaren. 6 seconds further down the line, we've got Mike Duran in the Ferrari, the Tic Tacs 7-Up Ferrari. And then behind that, he's gaining again now, is Nathan Edwards, who's been struggling in the McLaren, but just seems to have got it to going again now. And then behind that, 9 seconds, we've got Peter de Jong, BMW. 3 seconds behind that, got Jürgen Weiss, McLaren. 16 seconds behind that, in Van der Stickelen in the Porsche. And then a couple of seconds behind that, you can see Eric in the BMW. Behind that, 6 seconds down the road then, we've got another BMW, Don Harvey. And then 8 seconds behind that, we've got the other BMW and final BMW and Melvin Schmidt. And then 7 seconds, bearing in mind he has done a pit stop, or sorry, 20 seconds he has done a pit stop, is Daniel Nilsson in the Lamborghini Huracan. So that's where we are. I'm going to go back to where the battle is. And you can see it's starting to get a bit congested now. Racing's really starting to come to its to the head, as we've got Craig really putting pressure on Michael. And not only that, we've got Mark putting pressure on Craig as well. Nathan Edwards is really reeling in Mike Duran now. So I'm going to switch to that. Really pulling in that Ferrari. So let's see if we can get Nathan make a pass. Much quicker, you can see there. Let's go to the helicam. He is pushing it because his last lap, although was quick, was an invalid lap. So you can see he's still pushing the car. So that means potentially we do have another mistake incoming. You can see he's gone wide there. That's probably another invalid lap. Just wants to be careful he doesn't get a drive through. And Craig has decided to go for the pits. And so's Mark Cooper. And there you can so Mike let him pass there. We've got 2 cars going in for the pits. This is going to be interesting what happens here. They've both obviously decided to go for the tactical pit together. And we've got Mike Duran and is also pitting now as well. Let's go to see where these two go. So they're just fueling or they're putting tyres on. That's the battle, and there you can see Mr. Duran coming up behind them. Just to a stop. So he's first out the door. You'd expect it to be Mr. Holmes because he pulled in first. You also don't know whether damage is being repaired and whether every car's got damage. We do know early on Craig had a contact with somebody. So there could be a second or so damage, but Craig is moving. And the McLaren is not. Now the McLaren's moving. And Mike is still sitting there. So it looks like the drivers are deciding to take the opportunity. But I will say Mike Duran's made a lot of time there to change tyres, I think. Craig's really managed to get one over Mark there. He's come out much further ahead. He's managed to pull 5 seconds clear in that pit stop alone. And Melvin's just decided to pit as well. Meanwhile, up at the front, Ryan's just having fun. And Michael's coming into the pits now. As is Nathan Edwards. So what's interesting there is Michael, is pitting. Nathan's not far behind him. Nathan's really managed to get some time on that track. It's going to be really interesting this to see what happens when they come out. Currently got 4 cars in the pit. Jürgen. We did have Jürgen. Michael. Nathan. And Peter. Who's going to be the first to make a move? My money's on Michael. There you go. Michael does pull out. But the problem is with Nathan is he's going to have to change his tyres, I think. And Michael's come out behind Craig. So Craig has net gained here. As you can see there, Michael's come out and Craig is disappearing into the sunset. and he's also going to have warmer tyres, so he's going to have a good benefit here. Marco's not yet pitted. I think Craig's going to get the pair of them. Jürgen's coming out. Barrier coming out. And Peter is also coming out. So all drivers, most of the drivers have pitted. I think now ready for final stint. The ones that haven't pitted, Kim van der Stickelen, Marco, Eric, Don and Brian. There's Marco pitting. His name's too long for me banner. Marco's coming in. So the question is Craig going to get him? Let's see where Craig is in relation to Marco. They're going to come out close. And the question is then, is Marco going to get keep in front of Michael? Because Michael's quite close here. Kim van der Stickelen's pitting now as well. Brian's still out. So Marco's still in the pit lane. Marco's in the pit exit. Get to the pit exit. And he's made it. I don't think he's changed tyres, although you can see Craig's behind him there. Interesting. Marco's maximised that pit stop, hasn't he, really? Don Harvey's pitting. Sorry, Don Harvey's now into the pits. I think that concludes the pit stops for all drivers, because we know Daniel Nilsson did one early on, and he's going to start clawing some places back now, I think, as a result of his early pit stop. No, Eric hasn't pitted yet, actually. Brian's pitting. At the moment, Eric is leading. Or he will do when he passes the pits. See Brian sat at the front of the pits. To show whether Eric's going to get him, you know. Still a way to go, and I mean, Brian still sat there. I'd expect Brian to start moving any second now, so he's going to gain on him, but Eric's still got a pit stop, I think. There's no way Eric can be in front of everybody. And he's pitting. Eric is pitting. And Brian's on his way out. Right, so let's see where the battles are. Okay, so Eric's come to a stop, as we can see. Nothing major going on at the moment. The closest battle. Oh, it's quite a hard one. I'm gonna have to say it's going to be Michael, Craig, and Marco, but still 2 seconds between them here. Quite significant gap. Eric's on his way out. Stayed in front of Don and Melvin. And he's 14 seconds, I think. 10 seconds behind Kim. It's the field's really spanned out a bit now. See in front, Craig's. He's gaining ever so slightly on Craig as Michael, but it's not groundbreaking. You know, you're not going to be expecting him in a few laps. And there's Brian pitting. Brian's already pitted. Hey? Oh, is he? Ah, he's got a drive-through for pit lane speeding, has it? Now that's an own goal. Has he got a drive-through? No, he's... Oh. Well, yeah, because it's a stop and go, isn't it? If it's a pit lane speed in SG30. His car's not being lifted. I think he's got a drive-through. That means at the moment, Marco and that are... well, that's really surprised me. That Brian's falling down the grid. It's gonna be fun watching Brian come through with 19 minutes to go. Anything could happen here, to be honest. Michael's lost time on Craig here. No, he's not. No, I apologise. No, he's not. See there, he's really caught him up. And Brian's back out again in 9th place. He's 16 seconds behind Jürgen, so that's gonna become a challenge, I reckon. Sorry, 10 seconds behind Jürgen. You can hear the tyres really rough. He's already took 2 seconds out of Jürgen as Brian. He's going to be, if he has got an SG30, he's going to be fuming. Just keeping Michael at bay now. Is Craig. Some good points on the board for Craig this though. Are we going to see a pass here? Let's see. Michael's got a really good exit there. I think it looks like Craig's tyres are struggling a little bit there. And he's gone wide there. Got a much better turning. You can see the nose on that Ferrari's pointing much better. Meanwhile, Marco in front is nearly 4 seconds clear. I'm not sure, Mark, if he changed them or not, to be honest, because if he didn't, it's this time of the race when the tyres start to really bite you. Saying that, he was stationary for fueling for a long time. I'd have only expected him to have been stationary for about 5 seconds for fuel. You can see his last lap was a 2-minute. So he's a full second slower. And it was also an invalid lap, so he's pushing. What was Michael's last lap? 1:59. So Michael seems to be getting the better out of it at the moment. He's 4/10 quicker. Yeah, I think it would. You're right. I'm not saying that's the case. You don't get to know whether they've changed the tyres or not, really. What I need to do is track the time they're in the pits and record it, and then that'll give us an indicator of how long they've been stationary for. I mean, he's braking a lot later in the Ferrari. He's definitely got more grip. And in this sector here, he seems to get a much better drive out. "14 minutes to go. Still no other battles on track as we speak. Really the only battle we've got. Peter's getting very close to Mike Duran, though. I'm going to keep an eye on that. Nathan Edwards seems to have gained a few places. I'm a bit confused about that. He's jumped 3 drivers. Oh no, he's not. It's reset. It's realigning itself. I know he's catching Cooper up. You can see it there. Tell you what, get his foot down, Nathan. He could end up doing this. Just wants to be careful he doesn't do track limits because he's going very, very wide. This battle's still going on. Really pushing the pair of them. Look at the braking difference. Ferrari's so much better. But on the straight, the grunt of the Audi. Just so much better. You can see the 2 cars behind in the distance. Mark Cooper and Nathan Edwards. Look at the grunt on the straight. And then under braking, a Ferrari just eats into it. Bit wide there, Michael, as you can see, but not going into track limits. Should be okay. All 14 drivers are still on track. Testament to each one of them. Very, very few incidents as well. It's been a remarkably clean race. Not that I want to kibosh it. Brian is now 6 seconds behind Jürgen. Michael's just getting a good run here. He's just starting to gain, but the straight isn't long enough. That does mean he might get him under braking. The angles difference there in the corners. Michael's able to almost cut the corners, whereas it looks like Craig's got to drive around the corner. Marco still banging really good laps in front of these guys. Fastest person on track, though, by a long chalk, is both Nathan and Brian. They're into the 158s. They're a second faster than most of these guys. And in fact, Nathan is getting very close to Mark Cooper. I'm going to switch to that one, because you can see he's getting very close now. I will keep an eye on the other battle in front between Craig and Michael as well, just in case. So Mark Cooper, who's in front of him, is obviously running the same car. I couldn't say about the setup. Mark Cooper does look a little bit more bolted to the road, though. See the difference there, though, coming out the corner, how much drive Nathan's got compared. Had a bit of an off. Someone's gone off. Who is it? Seeing the yellow flags. I can't say. I don't think it's anyone. Oh. Just let's go back. There's been an off. Michael's gone off. Sliding. Look, sideways. He's not at the wall, though. And he's lost places as a result of it. That's very unfortunate. It's showing the replay as Mr. Cooper, but it's not. It's Michael. So, my apologies. That is not Mr. Cooper. That's Michael. So, I'm going to go back to Nathan, who's really putting pressure on Mr. Mark Cooper now. Look how close. You got him. Still not got him. I'll say the McLarens are probably evenly matched on the straight. It's about the braking into the corners. Look at the difference in braking. So this is for a podium. When you consider where Nathan's been, I said he could do it. There was an incident between Peter as well and Jürgen. Jürgen did pass Peter, so I missed that. My apologies. So he's going for the outside here. So stay off that grass. That's where he went for Burton before. Not getting him, is he? To see Michael in the background, and a good number of seconds behind these now. He's sliding it round there. Gordon Bennett, you can see him drift it. He's pushing Nathan. The difference in the cars, he might be quicker, but Mark Cooper's just seems to be gripping better. You just lost the back end a little bit there, Nathan. You could see the car just wanting to just move the back end out a little bit. Very late braking there, but he's still not past him. Brian's catching up on Peter. So Peter at the moment is making a gain on Brian in the table as a result of this, if it finishes like this. But I do think Brian will get Peter. He's looking very quick here as well. I'm going to try and just go between the two cars at the moment. Brian and Peter, and Nathan and Mark Cooper. Yeah, Brian's gone up the inside. Peter's got the inside line. Won't fuss Brian at all. That he'll just go around the outside. Pin it. The grunt of the Ferrari with the setup he's running. Look at the difference there. Just whizzing past him, isn't he? Oh, that was sneaky by Peter. That. Going back to this battle. It's getting close. Go back to that battle. Still at it. Great racing, to be fair. Ah, he's done him. He's done him. That was really good racing, that. Both guys, well done. Back to Nathan. Not giving up. He's really not giving up. But he's sweating buckets. Mark Cooper's having a great race, to be fair, as well. They are actually gaining on Marco here, ever so slightly as well. In fact, they're gaining massively on Craig. We go to Craig and look at the wing. Apart from the back marker there, you can see they are gaining on him. He's made the pass. Missed that. Let's have a look. Has he got him on the straight here? Way behind here, so I'm wondering whether Mark's made a mistake and gifted him. He's carrying a lot of speed through there. Oh, Cooper spun it. Mark Cooper spun the car. And that's gifted the place to Nathan. So Nathan's now going to try and hunt down Craig, who basically is 5 seconds clear. 3 minutes. He's not going to do it. But he's going to get that podium. As it stands, he is going to get that podium. Guy in front, who's walking away with it. Marco. We got Craig. Nathan. Mark, who's still in play. Michael. Mike. Jürgen. Brian's coming up for Jürgen. See if Brian gets Jürgen. Brian's car's looking a bit damaged, as if he's had contact. Maybe not. I'm not sure. Can't see him appearing. Yes. Brian and Peter had contact. Got him up the inside. No contact. Great racing, guys. Giving each other space. Well done, Brian. Had a very, very clean race. Some great racing on display today from various drivers. Really nice to see, actually. Mark Cooper's not giving up, you know. He is not giving up. Ooh, big slide there. Big slide. In car cockpit, you'd have seen him fighting with the wheel on that one, but he's not giving up. This is the last but one lap. To be fair, Marco's been flawless. After the pit stop, he's been absolutely flawless. Fully deserved. And the man behind him as well, Craig. Again, exceptional drive from the pair of them. And I think a bit of a shout out there to Nathan after his shenanigans early on. Oh, he nearly did over-rotated the car then. But yeah, great bit of drive by Nathan to come back. What we'll do is we'll ride on board with Marco. Comes to the final sector. Starts the final lap. I think he's going to get another lap in. Going to be close. He's going to do it. He's going to get another lap in. So anyone who's on fumes is going to be sitting there twitching now. Yeah, final lap. Tried on board with him. He's a good 3 seconds clear of Craig. No other battles going on now, so we'll just sit on board with Marco towards the end. As I said, flawless drive there from Marco. Cooper and Edwards are still fighting. The gap is still a second between them though. Final bend. Well, second to last bend. Congratulations, Marco. Fantastic race that. Fully deserved second place. Craig, third place. Nathan. Michael, fourth place after he's off. Mike Duran. And over. Brian is behind him. Jürgen. Peter de Jong. Kim van der Sticklen. Ooh, very wide corner there. Daniel Nilsson. Eric Dont. His consistency dropped off at the end. The driver with the best consistency was actually Mr. Young. Followed by... Actually, no, it was Mr. Holmes, then Mr. Young. On Harvey. That is it. Thank you very much for watching. If you've liked, please click on the like button for me. And back next Tuesday for round 5, which is taking place at Suzuka. Thanks all.